Hey guys, tonight we're going to slip quietly into the world of traditional Korean teas, those gentle infusions brewed long ago to soothe both body and mind before sleep. Picture yourself in a softly lit room somewhere in ancient Korea, steam curling from a delicate ceramic cup, the faint earthy scent of leaves and herbs weaving through the air. The rhythm of pouring hot water is slow and deliberate, like a soft lullaby whispered by time itself. You probably won't survive a day in the bustling markets of early Korea without tripping over a few stray tea leaves. But here, you get to simply sink into the calm. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, while you're at it, why not drop a comment telling me where you're tuning in from and what time it is there? It's always fascinating to know where this sleepy little community gathers each night. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Tea didn't just arrive in Korea out of nowhere. It traveled along winding paths of culture and trade from China, like a well-mannered guest, invited quietly into a new home. Historians still argue whether the very first tea leaves were brought by Buddhist monks returning from their pilgrimages or by merchants eager to share new tastes. Either way, by the 7th century, tea was no stranger to Korean palates. Initially, tea wasn't the casual drink we know today. It carried a spiritual weight. Monks and scholars used it during meditation to sharpen the mind without jolting the nerves, a much-needed alternative to stronger stimulants. Imagine sipping a warm, slightly bitter brew while seated in a chilly temple hall, the flicker of candlelight reflecting on wooden beams. Tea here was a kind of quiet companion, coaxing alertness and calm in equal measure. But tea's role extended beyond monasteries. In the bustling courts and humble homes alike, it began weaving into daily life, sometimes mixed with medicinal herbs to ease ailments, sometimes just for the soothing ritual of preparation itself. You can almost hear the low murmur of conversation interrupted by the gentle clink of porcelain cups as tea ceremony etiquette began to take shape. Interestingly, early Korean tea wasn't always brewed from Camellia sinensis leaves alone. Some infusions included ground pine needles or chrysanthemum petals. This blurring of herbal and tea traditions leaves historians debating what exactly defined tea in early Korea. Was it a botanical category, a cultural practice, or something in between? What's clear is that tea was embraced not just for taste, but for its calming, almost sacred qualities. Even then, tea wasn't just about drinking. It was about creating moments of peace in a noisy world, a practice that has quietly trickled down through centuries. As you settle into the sound of my voice, perhaps you can imagine your own quiet tea ritual. A small pause in the day's chaos, a sip that gently nudges your mind toward rest. Tea found a particularly special home in Buddhist monasteries, where it became more than just a comforting drink. It turned into a ritual woven tightly into the fabric of daily life. Imagine yourself stepping quietly into a mountain temple in Korea, the air crisp and filled with a faint scent of incense mingling with steaming tea. The monks move with deliberate grace, their hands steady as they prepare tea not for pleasure, but as a part of their meditation practice. These monks were among the earliest and most devoted tea drinkers in Korea. They used tea to maintain alertness during long hours of prayer and meditation, a substitute for more jolting stimulants that might disturb their spiritual focus. The bitterness of the tea was embraced rather than masked. It was a reminder of the discipline required in both spiritual and bodily realms. You can almost hear the soft clatter of teacups against wooden tables and the whisper of slow breath as the monks settle into calm concentration. Historians still argue whether tea was first introduced to Korea through Buddhist monks returning from Chinese pilgrimage routes or through traders bringing it along the Silk Road. Either way, by the 8th and 9th centuries, tea had become embedded in the monastic routine. Monks often cultivated their own tea gardens on temple grounds, tending to the plants with the same care they gave their spiritual practices. But the tea ritual was more than just about alertness. It was about creating a moment of mindfulness and peace. The preparation itself, heating the water, measuring the leaves, pouring with exactness, was a form of meditation. The repetitive motions calmed the mind and body, a slow dance that brought harmony amidst the rigors of monastic life. Interestingly, some monks brewed tea not only from a common tea leaf, but also combined it with medicinal herbs like ginseng or chrysanthemum. These blends were thought to support both physical health and spiritual clarity, enhancing the calming effects without dulling the mind. There's still some debate among scholars about how widespread these herbal blends were and whether they were mainly reserved for high-ranking monks or used more commonly. You might be surprised to learn that in these temples, tea ceremonies were sometimes accompanied by gentle ambient sounds, the soft rustling of bamboo leaves, the distant murmur of flowing water, or even the muted chanting of prayers. This combination of sensory experiences created a serene atmosphere perfectly suited to ease the restless mind and encourage sleep when night fell. So, as you listen now, let your thoughts drift to those quiet temple halls, steeped in the aroma of herbal tea, and cloaked in a hush of reverence. Imagine how those centuries-old rituals might still whisper to your own nighttime routine, offering a simple invitation to slow down and breathe. As the centuries passed, tea culture in Korea grew beyond the monastery walls and found a refined home in the Joseon dynasty's royal courts, where it evolved into a carefully choreographed ritual. You can picture yourself in a stately palace, seated on polished wooden floors beneath ornate ceilings painted in soft reds and blues, while attendants move gracefully, preparing tea with quiet precision. The atmosphere is slow, deliberate, and calm, a sharp contrast to the busy day-to-day bustle beyond the palace gates. Joseon tea ceremonies emphasized harmony, respect, and purity, reflecting Confucian ideals that permeated the society. Tea was not just a drink, but a moment of cultivated grace and stillness, a chance for royals and courtiers to unwind without distraction. The slow pace of the ceremony itself was almost hypnotic, measuring precise amounts of tea leaves, heating water to the perfect temperature, pouring with measured steadiness. The silence that surrounded these actions was almost sacred, broken only by the occasional gentle clink of porcelain. Historians still debate whether the formal tea ceremony was originally more of a practical way to serve tea or a symbolic ritual designed to express social hierarchy and respect. Some argue it was a form of refined meditation, helping elites find calm amidst the pressures of governance. Whatever the case, tea became an essential part of courtly relaxation, prized for its ability to clear the mind while softening the day's tensions. Interestingly, the teas served in the Joseon court often included subtle herbal blends, sometimes chrysanthemum petals for floral sweetness or pine needles for a faintly resinous aroma. These additions weren't just about flavor. They were believed to encourage gentle rest and balance bodily energies, especially important in the court's highly regimented lifestyle. The idea of tea as medicine and relaxation in one cup was well ingrained. A quirky detail you might enjoy. The tea utensils themselves, beautifully crafted pots, cups, and trays, were often carefully chosen for their calming aesthetic, with natural motifs like clouds, cranes, or lotus flowers carved or painted onto them. This attention to visual tranquility enhanced the sensory experience, helping participants relax simply by gazing at their surroundings. Even the timing of tea ceremonies was carefully planned, often in the late afternoon or early evening, to prepare the body for rest. It's fascinating to consider how the ritual was both a social event and a gentle nudge toward winding down. Maybe you feel a little envy imagining those leisurely tea moments. No phones buzzing, no endless emails, just the slow art of drinking tea. So, as you settle in tonight, think of those quiet palace rooms where tea was the evening's companion, calming both mind and body with every delicate sip.